Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Yana Kasperczak, your spiritual awakening core energy coach here, coming to you live from Ontario, where it is cold outside and there is snow. So hopefully you're in a warmer place and you can send some warm weather this way, at least for a couple of days before the winter finally arrives. But today, for the card reading or hashtag card reading and intuitive reading that I bring to you guys every Monday, I wanted to do this deck, or this deck, the Animal Spirit, well, the Known Animal Spirit deck and guidebook. And every time I have used this deck, there's always been some loud animals coming through. So, for the sake of keeping these videos straight to the point and short and sweet, we're gonna get right into right onto our 2 feet. 2 feet, 4 feet, scales or hide. May our minds stay open and our wings span wide. Yes, it may. Okay. So what are you all struggling with and dealing with today that you need help and guidance with? What has brought you to this video? This is what the cards will tell us. Okay, just one card that does not want to come out as that one card. Feels like there's two, but it's just one. Okay, let's take a look. That was probably upside down. Sea Serpent. Very interesting, isn't it? So, just gonna move these out of the way. Sea Serpent. This one goes by the design, which is the spirit, the circle, and then I believe it is alphabetical. There we go. Sea Serpent, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and if not, too bad, so sad. It is what it is. Sea Serpent, healing emotional wounds, expressing desires. Ooh, this is definitely what not only is this group all about, but what I have been diving deep with women that I work with and myself as well. Healing emotional wounds. Emotional wounds are not surface level. They are deep within us, and some of these emotional wounds are actually so deeply ingrained into us that in a way it becomes our personality. And let me actually just want to make sure that my video is open on this page so I can see all the comments on here, because I don't always see them on my phone. So I gotta open up this device on here. Here we go. Hey Lisa, how are you doing, beautiful? I know you caught me. It's sometimes challenging to catch me live. So the Sea Serpent is healing emotional wounds and expressing desires. Many of you have learned how to keep your desires to yourself and put on a mask and be a good girl and not say what you actually need and want. But the reason for that is because you've never actually learned how to express what you need and want. You did not learn how to understand what you're going through internally to express it outwardly, which is what you're feeling inside. The chaos, it is causing you to feel a lack of something, which means that there's a need beyond the surface that you're looking or needing to have filled. And if you don't take the time to figure out what that need is, how can you expect others to know exactly what you need? So and this is why your needs, they do lead back to the healing of emotional wounds that are deep, deep inside of you, that have at this point become an unconscious or subconscious program. And in order for you to rewrite that, you need to become conscious and aware of your triggers and what you're going through and your wounds and your feelings and your emotions as they are and as you want them to be going forward. Lisa said, the bad news we are expecting just happened, but I got this. That's right. You got this, and you got everything that is thrown in your way, in your direction, even if it doesn't feel like you got it. The sea serpent represents the energy of expression. I want to ask, are you expressing your true self, or are you expressing who you believe others want you to be or think that you are? Are you being honest and authentic to yourself, with yourself, and how you're expressing yourself? Whether it's emotions, creativity, sensuality, or desire, the sea serpent helps us move and direct our energy into a healthy current. So right now, you might feel a storm, and the storm is just there to help and navigate you as the ship and on the sea to go where you are meant to go. So the storm is you feeling dis-ease, you feeling chaos inside of you, you questioning things, and that's there for a reason. It's there to help you understand who you are and who you're being, and choose what you actually want. Choose your desires, choose your wants, choose your needs, and choose where you're going to go afterwards. And not leave that choice to others, because everyone will be really quick to tell you what to do and how to do it, but you know you're not gonna like that destination because it's not your destination, it's going to be their destination. When the essence of this card is in balance, we express ourselves creatively and sexually without fear or shame. When you're in balance, you feel like you got this, and you feel confident, you feel creative, and you don't hold back, and you express yourself sexually as well. We know what we desire most. You know what you desire most. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, you do know what you desire the most. And it just takes a moment to shift from unconscious awareness to conscious awareness. Our hearts are at ease, and our relationships are meaningful and enduring. That's when you're in balance. We'll loosen the grip of self-judgment, and we'll let the cool waters of forgiveness in to heal our wounds. You must learn to forgive yourself. And very few people know how to do that or even understand what self-forgiveness is. It is beyond a simple dialogue. It goes beyond reframing what you're saying and what you're thinking internally. It goes beyond that, because it goes as deep as your wounds go, to understand that what you are thinking right now, it is just surface level. Hey Rebecca, good morning. I see Debbie in here. Good morning, ladies. So you are right now, many of you are being called to go within and understand that what you're going through, Yes, you're growing through it. Yes, that's the silver lining. This is the fun part. But you are meant to feel it so you could really understand who you are and who you have been that does not align with who you are. And you started this journey as a teenager when your hormones were all over the place, and because you didn't have the right support systems in place, which very, very few people do, you need a fortress. It's not just your mom and dad, and it's not just one friend. You need more than that. You need outside help, outside of your home, someone that you can go and talk to that is going to help you understand you versus who you're being and help you to choose better. They're going to help you put a plan in place to get to the destination that you're trying to get to, that you're not even aware of. I hear this very often from every woman that I speak with and I talk with. They tell me that they don't know who they are, but they know where they're going, what they want from life. And my response is always something along the lines of, how can you know what you want and where you want to be if you don't know who you are? You can't. It's like, how can a tree grow if there is no roots of the tree? It's not going to grow. And how can a tree continue to grow if the roots are rotting? The tree itself is going to rot. The tree itself is not going to produce leaves or fruit. It's going to be bare. And before you know it, it will die. So that is where the who is. The who is in the roots. Everything else on top is what other people see. And you yourself, you are a tree. So if your roots are rotting and you're feeling this emotional wounds and internal turmoil and chaos, it is just trying to navigate you as the ship to help you be you and remove all of these masks that you have learned to wear for everyone. You have been an incredible actress, but it's exhausting acting all the time. And it's so much easier to be yourself, to be you, and not trying to be a perfect wife, a perfect mother for your daughter, a perfect mother for your son, a perfect mother for your other daughter, a perfect mother for your other son, and a perfect mother for your animals, your pets. You're trying to be perfect for everyone else but yourself. So if you took a moment and you paused and you started going deep into the roots and you started to uncover your triggers and you recognize that right now you might feel triggered with one thing, let's say something or one thing is not going well in your life, you start to recognize that it's not that one thing that is triggering you. It's so many more other things that are attached to this one root. If you look at, I don't have an image of a root of a tree, but you know what it looks like. If you have one part of the root on top that it starts and it's really thick and it has a lot of branches going everywhere, there's a lot of parts that are being connected to this one. What you recognize as your problem or your issue or your block is at the very top of that root. But if you start going in deeper, you see that there's so many more things attached to it. And that is a programming that you have been carrying and you continue to add to based on your life experiences, because your life experiences are there to validate your program. Because you living in your program, that's what feels comfortable and feels safe. You stepping outside of it does not, because that is where the literal unknown is. It's outside of the program. It's outside of who you're being and inside of who you are. That's why most people will not do the work on themselves, because there's way too many unknowns and way too many discomforts. That means that they're stepping outside of who they're being and taking off these masks and allowing people to see who they truly are. And to most people, it does not feel comfortable, because that's the programming that has taught them at a very young age to hide who you are, because people will judge and complain about who you are, and it's not going to make them feel comfortable. So you got to conform and mold to the crowd because it's easier that way. But by this point, I feel like you know that what's easier initially is only going to make things harder later. But when you do something that is hard, like deciding that you're no longer going to be part of that crowd, that's very hard. To step outside of the crowd, to step outside of the majority and become the minority, because you will be shunned, you will be seen as crazy, you will be seen as there's something wrong with you. But the truth is the opposite, that those who are in the herd, they're blinded because all they're seeing is what's there. But when you step outside of the herd, you get to see so much more than just this view that is around you, that is being blocked by other sheeple, or horses, since we are here in the unicorn group. It is so much harder to be yourself initially, but it becomes so much easier because no one, it's like when you're being truthful and being honest, you know you are. Whether people accept it or not, it feels good because you were honest and you were being you. And when people disagree with who you are, it doesn't hurt as much as when you're trying to be someone you think that they need you to be or want you to be, and then they reject you for who you're trying to be. So you feel like a horrible person because you were not even being authentic. You were trying to do something for them and they rejected you trying. So why even try? Why even bother? But when you are doing you, when you're being you, it doesn't hurt as much. Still might hurt, but not as much. But the reason why it doesn't is because you were open, you were honest, and you were authentic. And you weren't trying, you were being. And we get hurt in the midst of trying, but we feel whole in the midst of being. And the difference is, one you're trying to do and one you are being. One is in balance and the other one is out of balance. Debbie says, I've been called crazy many, many times, but know my truth. Yeah, me too. I've been called crazy. I've been called woo-woo. I've been called hippie. This is the one that I hear very often. I'm like, okay, yes, thank you. Thank you for all these compliments. But, you know, we're called crazy because we're stepping outside of that herd. And that word crazy, it is rooted in their fears. Fears that they might lose you, they might not understand you, and you're different, just to name a few. But if you give them 6 months, sometimes less, they will see that you're not the crazy one. They are. And most people will not admit that to themselves. Because admitting that to yourself means that you're wrong. And tell me, how many of you like and enjoy being wrong? I don't. I never did. And I still don't. But life is not all about enjoyment. Life is all about opportunities. So seeing my wrong, I get to see the opportunity and I get to learn from it. And it's usually more than one opportunity. It's many options. It's like a video game. You get to choose how you play and which level you want to play at. If you want to play at a level of self-mastery, this is what this group is all about, then you gotta play there. You gotta play at that level. And it's up to you to figure out what that level entails for you. And Rebecca says, I am the black sheep in my life. Yeah. I forgot what the story is called with the ugly duckling, I think it is. When the duckling thought he was ugly and living life as being picked on, you're different, you stand out, and then only to learn that he wasn't a duckling after all, not from the ducks at least, that he or she was a swan. So those of you who feel or have been told that you're crazy, you're the black sheep, you're weird, you're odd, you are. Because you're meant to be so much more than that. And that energy that is contained in your body that causes people to feel less of themselves is what triggers them to put you down, because you're standing up. It's like nails or whack-a-mole, right? One comes up, you want to make sure that they go down, because if they don't, then that person or those people feel like their life or you are out of control. And all of us have this desire, the deep desire to be in control of everything in our life. But no one can ever be in control of much in their life. Can only be in control of themselves in the moments of awareness. And then Debbie said, my oldest told me this morning she sees how I handle things and is using that to resolve a difficult situation at work. See, learning. I bet you that oldest one might have not said it out loud, but thought you were also the crazy one by stepping outside and owning yourself that, hey, mama, you're going to get hurt. Get back into your playpen and stay there. Don't do anything that is gonna make you be noticeable to others. But then when you do and they watch and observe, only then will they make the changes. So I was asked by quite a few people how to, and I'll do a separate video on this as well, but how to plant seeds in other people's minds and help them grow and evolve. And that is simply, you do you show them how it's done. They're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to feel triggered. They're going to feel like you are out of control, like you are the crazy one. But I want you to hold on to that urge to explain it to them when they're in that state. You can explain it to them little by little, but keep it to just like a couple of sentences, because it has taken you a lifetime to get to this point, and you can't expect everyone to understand you in even just one conversation. So you plant the seeds in other people by doing the work, by focusing on yourself, by doing the work, by healing your emotional wounds, by showing up for yourself every single day. You will notice your energy shift, your mindset shifts, and they will notice that as well. And they will naturally get curious about it and lean in. And you gotta give them time and space to do that. How long? It's up to them, not up to you. We cannot put a time limit or timeline on healing. We can't do that for ourselves, and we cannot expect anything from others either. Because if we have expectations, we all know that we're going to feel disappointed after the fact, because rarely do our expectations actually take place or reach that level. And then Debbie says, yes, I plant seeds for my husband. Perfect. Keep planting them, as I'm sure he has been doing the same as well. And then he will get to choose which ones will grow, which ones won't. You don't. None of us get to choose which seeds that they decide will be nurtured. They get to decide that, just like you did. Your partners, your friends, even your kids have planted many seeds within you. None of them got to decide which ones you take care of and which ones you nurtured or nourished. You did, unconsciously. Some of them might have been conscious, but most of them weren't conscious. So the same thing is going to happen with all those people that you love and care about, that you are planting seeds. And one thing I will also say, do not take credit for you planting the seed, for you giving them the idea. You give them credit. You make them feel like they came up with it all on their own, because it's your ego that is trying to claim a reward. But if you want them to continue nurturing those seeds, you have to give them the credit. And you have to give them the entire ownership of what they have chosen to work on and who they have become. They can choose to share that success with you by, saying something along the lines that I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. But this is where you want to turn it around back on them, right? That was all you. You did it all, because that is the truth. That is the reality. They're the ones that did all the work and put in all the energy into it. All you did is you took this card, you gave it to them. And how they interpret it is up to them, not up to you. And if they continue to interpret it and work on it or not, it's up to them, not up to you. And it feels so much better to praise people for the work that they have done and continue to do. And they will continue to do it, especially if they feel like they're in control and they have the power. But by you trying to claim the seed, you're taking that power away from them, and they will be much more likely to not continue. Unconsciously, that's usually what happens, unconsciously. It's in a way self-preservation, where they want to be in control, and by you trying to claim something, they feel like they don't have control, that in a way that you are the one controlling them. So, and then Debbie says, I agree, and they do their own work. Yeah, 100%. Right? Even if we give them the information, what they do with that information is completely up to them. And as a coach, this is one of the things that I learned very early on when it comes to a coach-client relationship, that I can give all kind of work and tools and different hacks and stuff like that, but I cannot claim any rewards or anything after the fact, because all I do is I do this card reading as an example, and the rest is entirely up to you. Each and every one of you is going to have a different experience with this, and different understanding and different takeaways from this one card reading. And I have absolutely no control over it, nor would I want to, because that is such great sense of responsibility that took me years to let go of and not hold on to it, because when I would find myself feeling responsible for somebody else's results, it is very draining and depleting of my energy and myself, that how can I possibly feel like I am the one responsible for everybody else's life and their choices when I am not, not even with my kids. They're the ones that get to choose how to do life every single day. All I can do is help and guide them, and what they do with it is entirely up to them. So not having expectations of the seeds planted is the best way to approach it, not just for you, but for them as well. Okay, so let's keep going with this card reading. When the energy of the sea serpent is not yet activated, our emotions and creativity are left in the muddy waters. The current of expression stagnates in some areas of our lives, and in other places it floods. So, meaning that when you are out of balance, and you know when you're out of balance, you don't feel good when you're out of balance. So when you're out of balance, you will not see things clearly. You will not be able to even understand yourself. The flood refers to feeling out of control, where you feel like you are just flooded by everything and everyone, and it feels like too much. So, I know this is just a reminder for all of you, but when you feel this way, that is you, the true, authentic you on the inside that is screaming for love, care, healing, and attention right now. So, you know what is going to help your soul and yourself to feel complete, whole, and balanced. And for all of us, it is being in silence. Initially, it will feel very uncomfortable and very scary, because now you're left with yourself, and everybody is doing their very best to run away from themselves, and that means distracting their mind with different things. Mostly it is screens, or let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that, where that is just pulling you away from you, pulling you away from going into those roots and understanding the depth of your emotional wounds and the depth of who you are being versus who you actually are. That hurt child inside of you needs love and attention as well. And no matter how old you are, she's still there, and she needs you more than ever. And she speaks to you through your feelings and emotions. And when you ignore her, your feelings and emotions will intensify. Just like when your child is crying or screaming, if you ignore them, the crying and screaming will intensify until a point where they start to hyperventilate. And you leave a child long enough, they will get through it. They will go through their own roller coasters, and they will create different stories to normalize it in their mind of what they have gone through. But the actual problem was not addressed. It was not dealt with. It just learned how to suppress it and put away and build walls all around themselves to protect themselves. And now that is what you are dealing with as an adult. You gotta take these walls down, not just for yourself, but for other people in your life, so they can feel more safer with you around them. Okay, so the current of expression stagnates in some areas of our lives, and in other areas it floods. It's important to remember, no matter what the waters of our emotional lives look like, the sea serpent loves us just the same. Like a mother, she wraps herself around us in, what does she wrap around us? In a gesture of protection. So the serpent is wrapping around in a gesture of protection, and that to me looks like an eye. Like that's what I thought it was when I first looked at it, but that perhaps is you as the soul, and the serpent is around you, keeping you safe and protected. Hence the different type of water energy inside the circle versus outside. She supports us as we learn to express our true natures. Express yourself. Express your true nature. This sea serpent and this second chakra. Let me see if there's more. Okay. The subtle energy of the sea serpent occupies the area of the Suthitras chakra. So your second chakra, located deep within the pelvic bowl. This chakra is known as our center of creativity and desire, and is associated with the water element. Svadhisthana translates as in her own abode, indicating this chakra is the home of the Divine Mother or Kundalini herself. And isn't this also the chakra where life was created as well? In the second chakra, where in her own abode, indicating the chakra as the home of the Divine Mother, of where you are as well. And you know what? It's interesting. I was watching. I believe everything that we expose ourselves to and we experience is there for a reason, and sometimes it is there for a season. So, but in this case, I think it's more of a reason. So I finished watching this this show. I don't remember what it's called. I don't typically remember the things that I watch, the titles of the shows that I watch, because to me that's not what's most important. What's most important is what I got from it, what I learned from it. So the show was about artists creating costumes for people, and that was basically like a reality TV challenge show. So they're creating these costumes, and one of the challenges that they were facing is they went to the church, and they were picking the 7 deadly sins, and how all the 7 deadly sins, each of them has a color associated to each sin. And I was very intrigued by the 7 deadly sins colors and their alignment to the 7 chakras. And then another thing I was also really intrigued by is not from the show, this was something that was sent to me by a friend, is when we look at these major holidays that we have throughout the year, which is 7 of them, how each and every one of them is connected to the 7 deadly sins as well. So, without going deeper into this and leaving more to your interpretation and just planting the seeds and letting you know the connections that I have made, and as I continue to connect these dots and go deeper into each root and how our program, how my program, how your program is replaying itself through through culture. Let's put it this way. Through culture and through our life, how there's a reason why all of us feel unworthy and not good enough. And all of you are doing the work to overcome that part of yourself, but yet you still find yourself in the pits, in the swamp, feeling like your old broken self. And my goal has always been, ever since especially I started this journey of helping women to be the best version of themselves and get their shit together so they can actually love their life and not feel miserable in their life. That life is like a game of yo-yo, where you are going to feel like you're on top and you feel great, and you're still going to drop and go back down to who you were, back to your default program. But that is the opportunity itself. When you go back to who you were and that old self that you are not proud of anymore, and you feel unworthy, or you feel unloved, or you feel like you are not enough or not doing enough, it is your call to be and not do. It is your call to be with yourself and go deep within and do the work that hopefully you have a plan on what you are doing. What are you focusing on? What are you working on? Whether it's this week or this month, whether you're doing it with yourself, whether you're doing it with your therapist or with your coach, or maybe there's someone else that is helping you to follow your path and has helped you to figure out what that path is for you. So keep doing that. Keep sticking to your path. Keep sticking to what you have decided you're going to be working on and doing for yourself. And you will get there. Because when you step away from your path is when you start to feel misalignment. So when you start to feel misalignment, that is your reminder to get back in your own lane and focus on you and only you and no one else. So I just want to also take an opportunity to wrap this up, to invite those of you who are on here on live. If you haven't seen my stories yet, I will be sharing actually in the group later on today, and reaching out to those who have helped me out with the market research on what I have put together and finishing putting together for everyone. And that is the workshop, the Healing the Good Girl workshop, which I am hosting on December 7th. And the spots actually will be limited as well, because I want to make sure that I'm available to everyone, and that way it doesn't run longer than 3 hours, as I have it scheduled for 3 hours. And we're going to be doing a lot of deep inner work and focusing on the 4 main blocks that each and every one of you is carrying and holding on to. And I'll share some tools that you will learn and get to practice as we will be doing this live through Zoom. And you also, not only will you get to keep the tools, you also will have full access to the workshop, which will be recorded, that you can watch and go back to anytime that you need to or want to go back to, as a reminder for you to what the work is and what to do and how to continue using those tools, because we all need those reminders once in a while of this is how the tool was introduced to us, this is how I experienced it, and as some time goes by, we can forget how to reintegrate that tool into our life. And yeah, you'll see the rest, and it'll be a short little invitation video, and then that's it. Let me see. Rebecca says, I want a spot. I'll register ASAP when I get paid. Awesome. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait either. It's going to be 12 p.m. Eastern time, December 7th, which will be Thursday, and it's actually going to be my mom's birthday. So it's interesting how it fell on the day when it's going to be my mom's birthday, but we don't celebrate it during the week. They live about an hour and a half away from us, so we keep the celebration for the weekend. But other than that, I am looking forward to seeing you all in this workshop and experiencing your own personal transformation during, and most importantly, after the workshop. But other than that, thank you everybody for being on here with me, whether you hopped on from the beginning to the end or somewhere in between. I appreciate each and every one of you, and those of you who are silent watchers as well. I might not see you, but I get you and I hear you in the loudest way possible, which is silence. And silence is much more louder than being loud, and much more powerful than being loud. So those who are, if we're talking about healing, those who are talking too much about their healing and all the healing that they're going through and experiencing, they're not doing as much work, because they're doing more talking than work. But those who are healing, they usually get really quiet, really still, and very silent. And it can trigger some people because all of a sudden they feel like you're pulling away from them, but that is the opposite of the truth. And you know this as well. Anyways, other than that, thank you, everybody. And Debbie says thank you. You're very welcome. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the workshop. And tomorrow, maybe at the Sacred Circle at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, or next week for another one of these live card readings for you all, or with perhaps a different deck. We'll see which one calls me. Right before I hop on live. This is the one that called me today, and clearly it said everything that you needed to hear, and I definitely needed to hear. That these readings are not just for you guys, they're also for me, and you get to hear that through my language. So other than that, until I see you next. Bye everybody.